Hey, 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 it's Tina Lorraine, your certified abundant mindset coach and your ghostwriter guru. And you see how I had the whole singy songy thing going on? I was singing to you what I am. I hope your Monday was just magnificent and marvelous and whatever kind of other positive M word you can think of. I hope it was all of that and more. I just wanted to jump on real quick and talk about, again, telling your stories, because we're never getting away from that with me. And I sent out an email today to my email list. And if you're not on my email, you should join it. You can sign up in my little clicky thing in Instagram, on my little profile clicky thing. You could just sign up for storytelling, and it will automatically sign you up for my email list. And also, speaking of storytelling, I just want to talk about what I've been talking about this week, which is sharing your story. And I just want to say that no one is holding you hostage except you. And what do I mean by that? I was looking at a quote today. Well, I was thinking about a quote today. And it was by a coach that I follow, and he said, I truly can't fail at anything. If I believe I cannot fail at anything, then what am I afraid of? And I just thought it was just so, there's just certain phrases or certain words that get me to, creating and thinking and just meditating. And I was like, truly, if we weren't afraid, if we knew that we couldn't fail at anything, if you knew you truly couldn't fail at anything, what would you do? I mean, and the only way to answer that is how much do you believe that God resides in you? How much do you believe that you are actually housing the Holy Spirit? How much do you believe that you are in alignment with the divine being inside of you? How much do you really believe what you say you believe? So we go back to nobody is holding you hostage except yourself. We put ourselves in these prisons, these mental prisons, these emotional prisons. And we walk around with these cloaks, with these hooded cloaks. Like if you could see it in the spirit, you'd be all covered, your face be all covered, everything would be covered because you don't want to be seen. You don't want anybody to know your secrets. You walk around and you're paranoid of what everybody's thinking about you, and you don't forgive yourself, and you're hurting, but you don't know how to get out of the hurt. You feel God prompting you to make some changes in your life, to do some healing work so you can be brought to that next level in your abundant life, but you ignore it and you're just worried and you're fearful and you're anxious because you really don't believe that you can't fail. And what do I mean by that? Well, of course, nobody's perfect around here, but if you look at failure as failing forward, if you look at failure as a lesson learned, and move on, get up, move on from it, get up and try the next thing. Why do we always have to look at failure as failure? As something that's impossible to rebound from, as something that can send us into great spiraling depressions, and something, we start taking on all these identities that we were never meant to take on just because we feel that we failed at something. And again, that goes back to me saying to you that no one is holding you hostage except yourself, because it's surely not God. God doesn't hold us hostage. God doesn't throw game and guilt and shame on us. We do that to ourselves. We let society dictate to us what is successful. We let society dictate to us what is acceptable. We let society dictate to us what you need to do with your life. And then we when we close our eyes at night, a lot of times we're not happy. We're miserable, or we're just unsettled. And we're just thinking, I can't do what my heart is telling me to do because society will think that it's something too different or too odd, or I'll stand out in the crowd, or I don't want attention being put on me, or blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, we're not satisfied with our lives a lot of the time. Or we might be satisfied with part of our lives, but then there's this inkling to want to do something else, to branch out, to want to do some healing work, to want to maybe start a business, to want to, journal and maybe publish it. Maybe you want to, start a daycare in your home. Maybe you want to start a mentorship for little boys, to have male mentors. It's all these wonderful creative ideas that come into our hearts. And we say that God gives us the desires of our hearts, but we don't believe it because we don't align to our hearts. And we're always worried about what somebody's going to say. And we're always worried about how we're going to look. And truly, that is the fear of man. And it's something that you have to get free from before you set other people free. And, when we're telling our story, when we're telling our story, we want to hide, and we want, especially if our story is not pretty, we want to hide, and we want to tell ourselves all these reasons why nobody needs to hear it. We want to protect this person. We want to protect that person. We want to protect ourselves. That's what it comes down to. We want to protect ourselves, because if you truly believe that the Holy Spirit is guiding you, then you releasing your story to help someone else, that's done out of love. So of course, God will give you the words to say. Of course, God will give you the people to share it with. Of course. We know this if we truly believe that God is residing inside of us. But a lot of times we walk around with these broken hearts, and then we use all these excuses to fail. And then if we do fail, if we do try one little thing and we fail, we just ready to, life is over. We need to get on the therapist's couch. We need to pray for 12 hours because we failed at something, instead of looking at failure as a lesson learned. You can only really fail forward if you truly believe that God is inside of you, because there's no failure in God, right? So if God is inside of you, yes, you are a fallible human being. We're not perfect, like I said. But if God is inside of you, then when you don't succeed at something, then it's just a lesson learned. Sometimes the lesson is just as simple as, that's not for me. It's not this big deal all of the time. All the big deal that we make it to be. Oh my God, I failed. And oh my gosh, the fear of what somebody's going to think about me if I try this and I fall on my face. Well, guess what? The ones who are talking about you and putting their thoughts on you and naysaying and all that stuff, is because they're not following their own dreams. They wouldn't even be paying attention to you in the first place if they were doing what they were supposed to do, right? A lot of times people are looking at us because they're rooting for you to win. They're rooting for you to win because it'll give them the courage to come out, tell their story, or start their business, or, write their memoirs, or, open that school, or start an accounting service, or be that mentor for that group. A lot of times those same naysayers are the ones who are, the reason why they're so focused on you is because they are trying to secretly see if what you are doing is actually going to work, so it will motivate them to do it. So if you look at your naysayers like that, you won't be so scared about what others think. And at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you this. It don't matter what they think. What matters is what did God tell you to do? If God told you to share your story, if God told you to become a coach, if God told you to become a consultant, and help people with your story, or to share your story in the jails, to share your story on the street, to share your story on your job, whatever God told you, wherever God told you to share it, where to share it, who to share it with. At the end of the day, that is all that matters. And all this stuff about what somebody gonna think, what somebody gonna say about me, is just something you have to really get in your meditation spot, whatever you call it, your prayer closet. I think that's what the really old people call it, the prayer closet. You need to go in there and shut the door and heal yourself. Get healed, get free in your mind, because truly the fear of people is just something that is really created in your own mind, and it stops you from doing so many things. When on the other side of it, you really be helping a lot of people if you share your story. If you go ahead and share it and despise the shame. God tells us to despise the shame for a reason. I mean, there's, in one day, I could think of probably 20 things to be shameful about if I let myself feel shame about it. I could feel shame about being a sexual abuse victim for years. When I was very young, I could feel shameful about the fact that I let it give me low self-esteem. I could feel shameful that, when I was dating, I was a serial dater at one point because I had I looked at myself as an object because of the way I had been abused for so many years. I could be ashamed of that. But do you see me on this live hanging my head and going, woe is me and all this stuff? No, because it's not me anymore. It's just a part of the story in the past that I share with other people to help them. So I'm free. I've forgiven the people who've even abused me. I've forgiven myself. And I am working on daily being forgiving toward myself, being shameless. I'm not out here creating shameful situations for myself to embrace. I've been shamed. I don't need to be creating no more situations. But I don't care. I don't care anymore. And so what I'm saying to you is you're the only one. No one is holding you hostage except you. You can make all the excuses in the world. When it comes down to laying your head down in that bed at night, it's only you and God. It's only you and God walking through this earth together. It's only you and God interacting with people. It's only you and God and your dreams. That's the only thing that counts, because the fear of man will keep you from so much, and all you're really called to do is love people. We're not called to fear people in people's opinions. The only opinion we should be fearing is ourselves and what God thinks of us, right? And God is inside of us. So, tell your story. I do not want to hear about how shy we are and how introverted. I'm shy. I wouldn't call myself shy. I did start off shy when I was younger, I guess. Not really. I was more just introverted, and there's a difference to me. I'm just more comfortable around who I'm comfortable with. I know my people, and I'm more comfortable. I can drop my guard better around my people. I am not a gregarious person by nature. I'm not a very social person by nature, but I'm an ambivert. I can be social in social settings and be okay. I just can't take a lot of it. I don't thrive off of social settings. And, you could be the same way, but that doesn't mean that that's going to stop me from coaching people, from helping them achieve their healing goals, helping them achieve their mindset goals. That's not going to stop me. If I decided that, I'm just an introvert, that's my comfort zone, I just don't do people, all that stuff, and I decided to hide in my little closet and close the door and just, only let people in that I like, then you know what? I would say shame on me. Shame on me, and shame on you too, because that is not God. That's not God, because God is not a coward. And if God is not a coward and God is inside of you, guess what? You ain't no coward either. I don't care what has happened to you. I don't care how atrocious it is. I don't care what you think it makes you look like. Like I said, I was a serial dater. I saw myself as an object. I let men use me sexually, because this is what I learned to be normal from all the sexual abuse. My finances were all jacked up for all the time because I had no self-worth. So I had no identity. My identity was my kids. I love my kids with all my heart, and I do, whatever I could for them. But I had no identity outside of them. And I was in church, and I was a praise dancer, and I was a churchgoer, and I was a mom. I was these things, and that's it. I helped my friends. I helped everybody. I was codependent. I was an enabler. I hated myself. I didn't think I was lovable. Let me see. What else the list can I go on? I mean, this is the hall of shame I'm telling you about. This is the hall of shame. If I felt that way, but do you see the glow that's coming out of my face that has nothing to do with my aesthetics, my outward appearance, but it's the outward glow from the inward glow? That's what healing does for you. That's what sharing your story does for you. That's what following purpose does for you. That's what aligning to the divine inside of you does for you. It's truth. And it's not about a religion. It's not about a denomination. It's not about what you call your God and what I call my God. It's not about what the rules of your religion says versus the rules of my religion says. It's not about what your belief system is in church versus what my belief system is in church. It is about you, God, and love and relationship. And once you really start to free your mind of all what society says you're supposed to do it this way, society says you're supposed to have a 9-to-5 job and make this amount of money and all this. I've always tried to fit in the box, but I'm not the one meant to fit in the box. And I was always wondering what was wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with me. God didn't make me to be really a follower, although I lived my life kind of following people that I thought was successful, following people that I thought was loved by God, following people because I thought they were better than me. And that is not the way that God wants us to live. That is not the way that God wants us to think about ourselves. And that's why I go back and say nobody is holding you hostage except you. I was the one holding myself hostage. I didn't know it a lot of the times. I didn't know it until I got fed up with it. I didn't know it until my body started breaking down physically and I started getting all these physical ailments. I didn't know it until I was sitting in church dead on the inside week after week after week, even though I was praise dancing, even though I was fellowshipping with people. I had absolutely, and I knew the Bible upwards, backwards, forwards, ups and down. I studied it. I did the prayers. I did speaking in tongues. I did all of it. And I was empty and dead and unhealed on the inside. I was a sweet, nice person. On the outside, I would help with whoever I deemed to help. Would help you in a minute. Yes, I would, because I thought you were better than me anyway. I didn't think God loved me anyway. Do you see how backwards we can be and we can think and we can move in this world when we are not aligned to the divine inside of us? But when I got tired and when my body started breaking down, I had to go, look, I told God, I said, look, I can't do this no more. Either you're real or you're not. And from the way I'm living my life and what I've experienced in my life, it's looking like you ain't real. But I knew in my heart God was real, but it was just something that was a disconnect. It was like something ain't what it's supposed to be. And I need my life to turn around. And I'm tired of all this sickness and illness and financial struggle and heart, feeling void on the inside and disconnected from my emotions and emotionally unavailable. Because when I was doing all that serial dating, I was just emotionally unavailable because I was a rape victim. I was a sexual abuse victim. And that's one of the things that we can do is disassociate ourselves. We can we can disattach ourselves from our feelings because we're used to being used as an object. And see, a lot of times when people are sexually abused or when they're raped, it only happens like once. And the once is enough. But when it happens more than once, you can't even imagine the psychological damage that does to you, for you to think that evil is normal, for you to think that you have no voice, that you're invisible, that God hates you. See, that's the kind of mindset that stuff puts you in. Now, I'm not here to, like I said, I've forgiven the people who have abused me, but I had to forgive me above everybody else. Once I found out I'm the most important person in my life, I had to forgive me. I'm the most important opinion about me that counts. I am the one who has to love me. I am the one who has to live with me. So everybody else, although I love you and kisses to you will help you in anything, at the end of the day, it's me and God. It's me and God in love. And once I started to see, I've always thought that God exists. But once I really started to see that it's a relationship, once I started to utilize the tools that religious people will call of the devil, like meditation, although it says meditate in the Bible, like, I don't even know how many times, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And when I started to read the self-help books and I just started to let God lead me in healing instead of people or religious institutions or what somebody else did. No, it's about me and God, because even with the books that I have read and the healing journey that I have had, even though I can share those tools with you, there's going to be stuff that God does in your healing journey and uses it a different way than what he did in mine. So although I have mentors that I respect and coaches that I respect and I love and that have helped me through different areas in my healing journey, that's because God put them there. And it's all to point back to me being able to trust me being able to love me being able to trust the divine inside of me to manifest what God has for me. And I'm on that journey every day. But if I had not decided that, the shame, the guilt, the ugliness, the secrecy of all of what I went through, if I decided to stay locked in that prison, then I would still be locked in that prison and I would still be miserable and I would still be dead on the inside and I would still be faking or, helping everybody and their mama and just thinking that I was just loveless. Nobody loved me. Nobody cared about me or whatever. I would still be that really, really sick-minded person that I was. So, geez, I didn't even mean to go off on a tangent like this, guys. So it must have been meant for you, sweetheart. This is very encouraging. I think shame is what holds me back in fear of being judged or looked down upon. Despise the shame. Despise the shame. And I'm so glad you said that, because I was sharing in a live last week that there was this scene in Game of Thrones, because God talks to me through everything. But this queen there was a religious cult that took over the land or whatever. So this queen, they took this captive. This queen, they captured her, and so her penance was, and she did some horrible stuff. Now I ain't gonna lie, I wanted her to die she was dirty. She was dirty. She did some stuff, but they had this very disturbing part where her penance was they cut off all her hair, and then they stripped her of all her clothes, so she was naked, and she had to walk through this crowd of people, through all these people that she was queen over, naked from one point to the next. And it was this long walk, and this woman was shaking this bell 3 times and saying, shame, shame, shame. And then she'd take a breath. She'd shake it again and say, shame, shame, shame. And I could relate to that so much, because that is the way I would walk around. I would feel shame about my past. I would feel shame about decisions I made out of a victim's mindset. I would feel shame because I couldn't help somebody even though my heart wanted to. I would feel shame and guilt over everything. And it was constantly like that bell ringing and that woman saying, shame, shame, shame. And God was not doing that to me. That was me doing that from my past and from the person I was, and thinking that I had to be worried about what people thought about me. And I'm just here to tell you, take small steps. Get the healing you need. Share your story, because your story is going to help someone else. And you really have no business feeling fear of man, because God is not ashamed of you. God is not ashamed of you. God has given you so much in his purpose plan. It is not just about your story. It's about your health. It's about your wealth. It's about your friendships and your relationships. And it's about everything in our lives. I used to just put God in a box and say, oh, it's spiritual, it's church, church is for this and blah, 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 blah. But God is in every aspect of our lives. So when we start to get free in areas and we start to really walk in the freedom, we have to make a choice to want to be free. We have to make that choice for ourselves. And if you just tell God, look, I'm tired. I don't want to feel guilt and shame anymore, because I know it's not coming from you. So it's got to be coming from me. So heal me, God. Heal me. Heal me. Show me the path to heal myself, because the power and the tools God has already put inside of each and every one of us. We just have to align to it. We just have to utilize them. We have to use the people that God puts in our path, the books, the resources, the tools. We have to use these people that God puts in our path to help us, because it can be a scary thing when when you're stepping out in faith and you're saying, look, I'm not going to be living just any kind of way. I'm not going to be just doing stuff just because I'm told this is successful or that's successful, or I want to make somebody else proud. You need to make yourself proud before you make anybody else. At the end of the day, when you make yourself proud and when you're happy and you're walking in alignment, nobody else counts. It doesn't count. You can love them. If they don't agree with what you're doing, then oh well, you still love them. But hey, they got their own journey. They're not there yet. And that's all you need to be. We don't even have to be worried about that. God tells us to be anxious for nothing. When it says for nothing, that's including people and their opinions. That's including any and everything. So I am so glad that I had you on my live today. And I'm glad that God is setting you free, because I can feel it. He's setting you free. So keep letting God set you free. Keep on your healing journey. Keep sharing. Share. I don't care if you share just a little bit of your story. The more you share it, the more you let out, the more freedom you're going to feel. And the less caring you're going to feel about what somebody's thinking. And you're going to feel more inclined to forgive yourself. And, once you start getting free, it becomes addictive. And you're just like, hey, I'm like truly free, like free. And that's a good thing. So this is Tina. You're welcome, sweetheart. You're welcome. And this is Tina signing off. I'll see you tomorrow. It's the last day of the challenge. Mom, we only got one more day. We made it almost. Yay. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.